You guys, we're going to start this episode off a little bit unorthodox, and that is partially because we're in a new space, but mostly because I'm actually filming this on a separate day from us actually having this conversation, but that is because I saw something on the internet today that was so unsettling that it inspired this entire conversation. I'm going to read this to you verbatim, exactly where I got it from, and read it word for word. I don't know if this is a credible source, and I have no idea if any of this is true, but quite frankly, it freaked me out so much that it inspired this episode that you're about to listen to today. So it says, Jennifer D got a call from her daughter screaming for help. Then a man's voice said that they had her and they demanded $1 million if she wanted her daughter back. Luckily, Jennifer tried calling her daughter, who picked up. It turns out somebody had used AI technology to replicate her daughter's voice. Another story says a finance worker in Hong Kong was tricked into paying out $25 million to a scammer after they used AI to pose as the company's chief financial officer in a video conference call. This worker thought it was a conference call with other employees, but they were all AI generated. It sounded and looked the same as the people that he worked with. While scams like these have been around for decades, kidnappers and scammers can now use recordings and online posts to appear more realistic than ever.
I'm a cybersecurity major. And so I'm certified in Security Plus, CompTIA Security Plus, certified in cybersecurity, and I'm also a certified ethical hacker.
If this shit is so fucking smart, do you think that it's going to actually be able to solve a lot of real world problems that we have, like climate change and fucking like cures to cancer and shit like that humans have not been able to figure out on their own?
Yes, babe. It's not that the technology is not smart. It's the humans in charge of it that are not smart. AI is being included in everything. It's being included in hacking tools because it's able to repair error readings and error codes faster. It's not going to be like, oh, I noticed a flaw there. Let me just put a little bandage over there. No, it's going to fix it.
What's going on, internet? Welcome back to the URL versus IRL podcast. I'm your host, Bree Lynch, and we are in a new space today. I hope you guys like it. We have officially moved the podcast studio downstairs. And you know what? I'm going to tell you, I really think I need to do a solo episode just to show you guys the original podcast studio and the new podcast studio. It might be a weird version of like a vlog and a podcast. Let me know if you guys are interested in that, because I have to show you the difference, okay? But today's episode is going to be a very interesting episode, okay? I'm going to be honest with you. I'm filming this intro after we've already shot it because my head is spinning, okay? If anybody is like a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, goes deep into the internet, the dark web, this episode is absolutely for you. And if you don't, you're going to learn a lot right now, okay? We're going to be talking about AI, we're going to be talking about quantum computers, and we're getting real deep in this shit, okay? So I'm going to roll the intro music and we'll get into it. Josh, welcome back to URL versus IRL. Casey,
how are you?
Welcome to the new studio.
It looks good. How are you?
It's good. So glad. Yeah, but there's so much more space in here. Like, I'm so thrown off in here. It's so much bigger. I can see everything, and I can actually move my hands without worrying about bumping into anything.
Yeah, you feel so much farther than like when
I
we're
feel
in the
very
actual
odd.
studio.
I'm displaced.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But also, I don't feel as hot. Like upstairs, I was sweating
all the time.
all of the time.
All the
like,
time.
And it's like
this
not as
feels
much as a consolidated
better.
space. Yeah.
And honestly, it sounds way better.
Yeah.
Like, I know that people can hardly ever tell that I have headphones on because my hair is dark and so are the headphones, but like, it sounds immaculate down here.
Very cool.
In comparison. So I'm very excited. Josh, welcome back to URL versus IRL.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a minute since you've been on here.
It has. It's been a very long time.
I'm really excited
I
to have
feel.
you back on here, and I feel like you were the perfect person to talk to today about this topic because, to be honest with you, internet, every single morning when I wake up, I plug Josh's phone in because he falls asleep on his phone every single night, like not charged. So I plug your phone in every morning, and every day it's some different shit on your internet browser that I'm like, what the fuck is he looking at?
Yeah, at least you know I had nothing to hide. I mean, like, yeah, I'm always like looking at a lot of emerging things going on in the world and technology. Like,
Yeah, you're
I
like
think,
a little tech wizard for sure.
better than looking at porn.
Right.
Exactly. That is my porn. Like, that's basically my porn. Like, I can look up emerging technology or like the ways technology is going to change the world for hours on end, a lot of it is just legit like singularity type shit, just about what's happening in the future and like what new and emerging technologies are going to do. And obviously this episode I know is going to be more predominantly geared to AI. So,
yeah, I want to talk about AI. I want to talk about, what is it called? A quantum what?
Oh, quantum computers and quantum like chips and mechanics and things like that.
The word flux is not in that, right?
That is a song.
That's Northlane's album,
that's
is it
a
not?
Northlane song.
Okay, because every time that we have talked about this, that's the only thing that I can think of, and I'm trying so hard not to fuck it up.
Quantum flux is like a thing, like that's like a thing, but I don't know enough information.
I don't know anything
flux.
about quantum other than Marvel.
That's all
like quantum time, space continuums. Like,
that is a layer of physics that it's a deeper dive into physics. It's a more mechanical side of physics on like how things operate and the more micro understandings of like the operation of life in general.
Okay, so that is
think of
not
physics.
what the fuck we're talking about today. That is not it.
Well, yeah, in a way it is, but it isn't. I mean, because you got to think about like how things like technology and artificial intelligence are going to quantumly change the world.
Okay.
Break it down for us, dumb folk. Quantum, what's that mean?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, cool. Well, I do want to give you guys like the actual like
Literal definition.
because and I really think it's good to understand like why, because I think everybody assumes quantum doesn't have its own general meaning, but it does. And so physics is what attributes quantum mechanics or just anything in quantum in the quantum realm, but a discrete quantity of energy proportional in magnitude to the frequency of the radiation it represents. In quantum mechanics, quantum has multiple meanings, including a unit of energy, theoretical basis of physics. A quantum is the smallest amount of a physical entity involved in an interaction.
So we're talking about actual things and how they move.
Yes, like
the energy of how things move, because that's what physics is, right? Is like just the energy behind like how this fucking microphone would move. Is physics
is
like
the study of that.
Okay,
physics is the study of like why is this boom arm able to suspend in the air just like this with this heavy mic load bearing in this space right here, whereas quantum physics would dive deeper into that, like how is it doing that?
Right.
What is the qubits or microbits or the microbials inside of that on how it's doing that? And so now when we face that into like computers.
That's what I was going to ask, is how is that related to computers? Like what is...
Well, computers themselves are micro in its own nature. Like when you talk about computers, they use like microchips and chipsets, and they use different kind of capacitors and transmitters and different things that make it run.
Right.
In quantum computation, we dive even further into that. So like if we're talking about computer science, the study of computers, the science of computers, we treat computer science like you would create anatomical science.
Okay.
So you break the computer down like the human
to its
body.
Finest pieces.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Why
just like you would break
thing...
it down to a cell, there's a cell of a computer.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then there's even the things like everybody's like binary. You've heard the word binary.
Right. We did an episode with that.
You did an episode with that. And in computer, binary is adjacent. It means zeros and ones.
Right.
And those zeros and ones, binary is the language that computers are able to communicate with. Because
that's like even down to statistics. Like
absolutely.
Like encoding, like there's like binary a lot in that of like I learned that in statistics.
In computer science and cybersecurity, computer programming, anything like that, we use binary language. We use different things like discrete mathematics and mechanics of that nature in order to do things like coding, programming. Like it uses expressions like Boolean language, like all the different things.
I have to like search stuff, like you know, like digging in on research and like having to use Boolean language to like search for things. Like
those literal mechanics apply in computer technology. And the reason they do is because it's just like how gears function on a cogwheel.
Right.
Those are a computer's cogwheel.
Okay.
Because
Interesting.
computers don't use actual cogs and wheels.
Right.
They use microchips and microchip sets that you wouldn't even see from the visible human eye.
Right.
And they make the computer run. It is the absolute heart and lungs of the computer. The heart, lungs, and brain, I should say, of the computer is all of that. And actually, deep dive into that, the motherboard is like the actual brain, and then like the graphics card, the computer processing chip, and all that would actually be considered like the heart and lungs.
Okay.
Like all of that would,
Right.
because those actually do things.
I think that's a good metaphor to use to like compare it to a body.
Yes, absolutely. So when we talk about computers, we talk about those microsets, but then when we talk about quantum computation says, okay, we know that a processor helps translate and transpose all of the information, all those zeros and ones, those little bits and information we were just talking about. A processor turns that into readable information because the computer can't read readable information. It can only read zeros and ones.
Right.
Quantum computing turns those zeros and ones to like 0 and 1, and then all the numbers in between 0 and 1.
Oh, okay. So it breaks it down even further.
Way even further. So think of like the numbers in between 0 and 1. You have 0, and then 0.1, and then 0.2.
You have
and then
0.001.
And then you have
Yeah.
0.001.
Even smaller.
And then you have 0.0001. And then you have 0.0000. That's quantum computing.
That's all I
Yes.
feel. Like that
And
hurts my head.
There was something that you were explaining to me the other day of like how dangerous these computers are if they get in the wrong hands.
Yeah, so when quantum computers were first being introduced to the real world, the idea was, okay, let's create a computer. Because why did humanity create computers? We created computers because we wanted something that can like help us solve problems
Right.
faster.
Mm-hmm.
We
Smarter, not harder.
Yeah, absolutely. We created calculators because what are
Right.
what are calculators really?
Small
They're
computer.
just small handheld computers.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
embedded systems. We created those to help us solve mathematical equations in
Right.
much faster periods of time. So what do? We create computers. In turn, Google's created. Why do we have Google? Because if I need to know how to fry an egg, I need to know how to fry an egg. But who am I going to ask if no one's right next to me? Google.
Right.
Quantum computing in its early stages, and it's still in its early stages. Let me phrase that right
Okay.
now, because we're still trying to like understand it a little more. In its early stages, and even still, is a physical computer, just like any other computer, that doesn't have the ability to let us view computer technology like we can, like software. It doesn't give us that ability yet. It is just a giant hard shell computer that solves equations right now and can help solve problems in a moment's notice.
So it's like a bigger, faster, better calculator?
Yes, it doesn't have a graphical interface just
Okay.
yet.
Okay.
Just yet. Just
So
recently.
you can just beep boop bop and then it spits you back an answer?
Yes.
Okay.
There
That's
you
like
go.
how AI feels, though.
That's exactly what AI
That's
is.
literally like what
Yeah.
ChatGPT feels like.
But now we have generative AI. So everybody's like,
So
why do you
it's-
keep saying AI versus generative AI? Or what are the difference between the two? Well, generative AI, actually, before we even get into that, let me finish my thought on quantum. So with quantum computation, before we even get into the there's graphical user interface, or GUI, in computers. And graphical user interface, it's a very popular term. It's very, very stationary. And when programs are made, we use GUIs. And like when you have an operating system, computers need operating systems. Why? Because when you power a computer on and you get all the other bits, the computer only registers everything as code and data sets and data bits. And it doesn't have anything to do with
Right.
all of that data. So it needs something to harness all of that. Now, tag in the operating system. The operating system gives all that code and all that data sets and like all of that a place to literally spread its wings.
So when we talk about, I guess, quantum computers being dangerous, is the danger lying in the fact that you can basically build this computer to do whatever the fuck you want it to do?
Yes, actually, you know what?
And that is dangerous because we don't know what motherfuckers want to be doing?
Currently,
Like,
yes, absolutely. And you're literally saying it verbatim, because in modern cybersecurity, when we try to predict how threat protection is going to be done, we can only assume based off of attacks that have already happened.
Right.
We don't have full clairvoyance. We don't know what's going to happen. We can only assume what's going to happen based off of trends, based off of compiled log reports, based off of all different sets of like methods of reconnaissance we have gathered in order to tell us this is how this is going to happen, or like, oh, this is happening, so this kind of attack is going to happen.
Right.
In quantum computation, because quantum computers are designed in such a way to help us solve all the world's problems, and it can do it. Think of like, if I wanted to crack a password in modern password cracking, for me, if I wanted to crack a password to someone's like Wi-Fi, their home Wi-Fi, I can probably do it in like a couple of hours.
Impressive.
I can probably do it in a couple of hours.
That's because you're a cybersecurity major.
I should have
by the
fucking
way.
clocked you in when I was trying to fucking hack into my ex-boyfriends and boyfriends' fucking Facebooks when I was back in the day. I used to try to do anything to hack into a motherfucker's Facebook account.
Well, back in the day, I probably wasn't allowed to do it legally. Well, and just for the audience out there, I am a certified ethical hacker. Like I have my certification in ethical hacking.
We didn't even give them the intro.
I
This was
don't.
so
I
unorthodox.
am a cybersecurity major. My major is in information assurance cybersecurity, and I'm actually pursuing my bachelor's in cybersecurity analytics and operations.
He does computers, y'all.
I do computers.
Yeah.
I do the thing. I know how to build computers. I know some of the ins and outs of computers, and more recently, I've started computer programming in Python language. So that's very fun.
Snakes.
That's been snakes. That's funny. I feel like the computer nerds are gonna look at that and they're gonna think that's the funniest thing. Because when I think Python, like I know it's about snakes. And actually, funny enough, I'm in a Python class right now, and I found out that the reason it's called Python is because it's a reference to Monty Python.
Okay.
The person who created the language of Python, he
yeah.
was a big Monty Python fan, and he was like, oh, Python. And it's actually a snake. Like the actual logo of Python
funny.
is like a very goofy looking snake.
That's funny.
Like kind of in
I
its
love
own
that.
little shell. But yeah, so my background's in cybersecurity. You know, when I was in the Air Force, I took a liking to cybersecurity, and I always had a very big affinity for computers. And so fast forward, here I am. I'm a cybersecurity major. And so I'm certified in Security Plus, CompTIA Security Plus, certified in cybersecurity, and I'm also a certified ethical hacker.
Protect your bank accounts around him, y'all.
So information security and cybersecurity are very important to me, and they're very passionate for me because it's one of the biggest things going on in the world right now, and it's even more up to more recently in the headlines. The U.S. Treasury was just hacked, and
Crazy.
millions and millions of people's information was stolen and had been stolen. Actually, funny enough about some of these cyber attacks, because people think hacks happen instantaneous, and a lot of
Right.
times it's a slow burn. It happens way longer or way in hindsight than you would even think. So like the United States Treasury said that like they were aware of this hack, or at least the remnants of this hack, back in April of 2024.
Wow.
And the hack and then they actually decided to tell people about it in the summer of 2024.
Shiesty.
Actually, yeah, like toward the mid to end of summer of 2024, if anything. Yeah, it's crazy. And a lot of times that's how these hacks go. And a lot of times it's not the fault of the security company.
Right.
It's just the gravity of like
How powerful we can make computers.
Computers are so powerful,
Right.
but sometimes they're flawed. They're
Right.
flawed. There's a backdoor to everything. And that's something I think that needs to get talked about in
Right.
like in security and cybersecurity. There's a backdoor to everything. That's the problem with cybersecurity and quantum computing. In cybersecurity, we have an understanding of security called encryption, right?
Right.
And encryption allows us to protect everything. Encryption protects everything. Encryption protects your payment information.
Right.
When like what was something you just said to me when you were paying with your Apple Card? You were like, "Oh, it's fine. I'll just use Apple Pay because it won't have any of my card numbers because the
Yeah.
Apple Card doesn't have the card information."
Wrong.
Wrong.
Yeah.
The moment your card is scanned, whether it's tapped, whether it's
Online.
your card information is data. Data that I actually know how to intercept when tracked properly. And people don't realize that.
Right.
If that data is intercepted, that data is going to get snatched, and somebody can retrace that data and submit it to a file onto their, or not a file, well, a file or a folder onto their computer. And then they just have
Crazy.
that for free. And then they could just go ahead and use your card whenever they want at their leisure. Sure, it's going to set off some alarms to the credit card company, but they just got to buy shit with your credit card.
Right, and they already did the crime.
You
Right.
were an unsuspecting victim, and they will not get tracked if they covered their tracks correctly. So yes, encryption is the like one of the most important things in security, information security, data security, cybersecurity, and it protects everything. It protects hospital information, important HIPAA information. It protects important payment information, bank information, any kind of secure information, high level clearanced information that you can think of. Encryption
Right.
protects. When quantum computation gets to a point where it can become a graphical user interface that anyone can just use, any random hacker off the streets that we call like script kiddies,
Right.
that can just like hack for funsies and just do it out of the sanctity of their mom's basement or their dad's basement, that is dangerous, because quantum computing is built to solve problems, not fix problems right
Right.
now. And not fix problems in the sense that like it's going to fix humans' problems because we're asking it to solve a problem of ours, right? So it's fixing a problem. If it breaks all modern forms of encryption, which it will do,
Right.
how is it going to fix that?
Right.
Because
That's a
it
oopsie.
was programmed to
Right. Break it.
break it.
Right.
So how are you going to fix it?
Right.
So that's the danger we're talking about today.
So, with all of these dangers and in the cybersecurity field that you are, how big of a role is AI now having in your landscape arena?
I'm going to give you the
place of work?
short version right now, and then we're going to continue to talk about the long version. The
Right.
short version is they actually just, so I've had my certified ethical hacker cert for the better half of going on to 2 years. I've had it since 2023. And when I obtained that and learned all the information that we learned in that course, they, AI was on the, it was looming. It was, not a looming danger. It was just looming. They were like,
Right.
this is something that's rising and we're going to have to talk about this and we're going to have to learn about this. We are in 2025 now, and the same exact course I just learned, I'm relearning an entirely new course in ethical hacking again. I'm learning ethical hacking again,
Right.
but entirely involved with AI.
So, a whole different context.
Every step of the way, it's AI in every single module that I'm learning.
So why are they saying that like AI is like taking over and like ruining the planet? Like how is it actually hurting our planet?
Let me finish answering the original question. I will touch on that because it is, and I will touch on that. So basically, AI is changing how I'm learning, or even what we're doing in the cybersecurity field, because it's changing the way automation works.
Right.
Automation in cybersecurity is just, I know how to use a program, I teach the program to just run itself, and that's automation.
Right.
AI is even smarter, so to the point where it doesn't even need human intervention anymore. I could just program something or have an AI program monitor or keep a watchful eye
Right.
on the automated program itself that I needed. Or I can just, if I don't want AI to have that kind of intervention, if I feel like I trust myself more than AI, because humans, more so, we are the ones who designed AI, so obviously we are in turn somewhat smarter than it in some ways, right? Because we designed it.
I have a question.
I will get
though.
on that. I feel like
You
I know
know
what you're gonna
my
ask.
question.
But we now, here we are, fast forward, it gets to the point where AI is being included in everything. It's being included in hacking tools because it's able to repair error readings and error codes faster
Okay.
that happen in password cracking or computer programming, or all the different things that hackers or cybersecurity professionals or information security professionals or system engineers would need. All those vital tools that have their little subliminal flaws, AI is going to be there on the back end to fix that.
Okay.
And stitch up, but not just patch. It's going to fix.
Right.
Like, it's not going to be like, oh, I noticed a flaw there. Let me just put a little bandage over there. No, it's going to fix it. And we've watched some of what it can do in real time, and you guys, not even on the information technology side of it, just as general users of AI, have already gotten to see what it can do and what it's capable of. It's capable currently of making you completely alter your perception of reality and maybe even make you wonder if life is real or not.
So you said that we created AI.
Yeah.
It's evolving now.
Yeah.
So we created it, and now it's doing all this work to make our lives supposedly smarter, not harder. Is it going to get to a point where it is so smart that it outpaces us?
Yes.
Because that is something that Alex and I talk about. Like, these fucking AI robots are going to get smarter than us and take the fuck over.
There was a study I read. That talked about the singularity. And the singularity is this concept that humanity's forever doomed by its own creation, essentially.
Right.
Because we have gotten to a point, or we will get to a point, where technology will just continue to advance so fast and so rapidly that we are too unprepared for it. But now, the study I read talks about, now how does AI get involved into that?
Right.
Well, it's already known that AI can get to the point where it can self-replicate and it can do exactly what humans do.
Scary.
Yeah, it's already a very well-known fact. There was a whistleblower from Google who even said that Google created a program that they were afraid of. And I personally believe it's Google's new program.
With all the smarts we have, we're going to create some shit that can outsmart us.
And I personally believe that Google's new AI, Gemini, is maybe the sister of this program that the whistleblower got fired over.
Okay.
He got fired over for...
That's a spicy conspiracy.
I hope your podcast doesn't get barred for this, but, sorry, Google, but you're doing shady shit. Sorry.
Right.
But, yeah, it's weird. Now Gemini's out, and then Google also just announced the first ever quantum computer processing chip, Willow.
That sucks.
And remember earlier when I was talking about computers having GUIs, graphical user interfaces? Yeah, that's essentially what this chip will do.
Wow.
This chip will basically go into quantum computers.
Right.
Computers that are meant to handle quantum computation. And people like you and I will just be able to use them.
So, what is the purpose for all of us having this evolved ass technology? What would someone's purpose for being like, yep, I'm going to go buy Google's new quantum computer?
Well, it's almost a very existential question to ask, right? Because it's like, why did we even create technology like this in the first place?
Right.
Well, we wanted to create computers to automate the mundane processes of life that make humans hate waking up in the morning, right? And then we also we also created computers to take us to the moon. And we also created computers to help us monitor the satellites and create the satellites and do the things that we needed up in space, right? So it almost makes you wonder, well, why do we need AI, or why do we need computers with AI chips and quantum computer? Because the quantum chip that I'm talking about not only has quantum mechanics, it has AI in it.
Right.
New modern graphics cards that are coming out have AI in it. Most things are going to slowly have AI. Google, the website, is entirely run by AI.
Of course.
It's going. They all play a purpose in humanity seeking out a way to find a better understanding of itself. Humans just want these technologies either for just mind-numbing brain rot, as what the new modern age would call it. And then there's the humans like myself. Why am I fascinated with emerging technology? Well, I kind of want to see what I am in such a belief that humans are too stupid to do anything sometimes, but then sometimes humans do some of the smartest shit I've ever seen in my entire life. And then I'm like, okay, prove me wrong. Whoa. What are we doing?
Right.
Because we've allegedly built all these rocket ships that go in fucking space. We built airplanes without other intervention. We've created Bluetooth technology, connectivity that seems to just be in thin air.
Yeah.
We've
But are
done
we gonna-
all of this.
Are we going to keep upping the ante to make things easier for us to a point where we get fucking dumb?
I mean,
Like, is
already
AI
are.
going to make, like, I think of AI like in school. Like, you know, you used to go to school and there would be a whole statement about plagiarism.
yeah.
Well,
Yes.
now every syllabus has a statement about plagiarism and AI.
Yeah.
Well, actually, funny enough,
And I'm like, is this just making it easier for people to pass? Like, to not be creative, to not be original, to not like learn things on their own? Is this going to make us dumb because we're relying on it so much?
yes, I don't think it's going to inherently make every single human dumb. I think it's going to be a select section of humanity. And the reason I say that is because I thoroughly watched an entire semester that I sat in a kid pass his entire class off of AI.
Right.
Seriously. And this was an in-person class. He passed the
And
entire
like,
class
you're going to
off
go
of
do
AI.
shit in the world.
And he's going to have to go do shit in the world. There was a study that talked about how our modern nurses, doctors, like financial majors, like all the majors that are allowed to and able to incorporate AI in the mix, they are.
Right.
They're doing it.
And that's the thing. Our plagiarism statement doesn't say that it's not allowed.
And it's funny that your
It never
school-
says that don't use AI, don't use AI
No, no, no.
technology. It's saying just use it this way so it's not plagiarism. They're encouraging you to use AI at this point.
I was about to ask because I'm surprised your college, if they probably have mentioned it, you just probably didn't mention it yourself, but colleges are still hemorrhaging, plagiarism.
Right.
Don't do it, because why the fuck would you
Right.
try to write someone else's work and copy it as your own? That's crazy. Like, just use your own thoughts. But AI in the mix, what they're saying is that it's a certain because the colleges encourage AI. The
Right.
reason AI, like text wise, like the reason why ChatGPT was created or OpenAI was created is because they wanted to help humans find answers out of relative, informative, and true databases, canonical databases, without humans having to spend years looking through these archives.
Right.
They wanted humans to be able to have the option to find thousands of years worth of literature and text in
Like that.
seconds.
Right.
And instead, humanity, like humans do, we're finding different ways. Like, we find potatoes in the ground and we're like, yeah, I need to eat that. And instead humans created vodka.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna find.
Are we that smart?
You know what I'm saying? We're smart in some ways. Like, yeah,
Right.
potatoes to make mashed potatoes and French fries,
Right.
but also to make vodka. I use that metaphor because it's true. Humans are gonna find many, many ways to invent the wheel in
Right.
so many different ways. I think AI is phenomenal, but I am also genuinely scared of it.
Right.
I am so happy about it. And now I'm gonna get into the talks of why I think it's dangerous to the environment.
I've been
Yeah.
reading about that.
Because it is. It is very, very, very dangerous.
it has to
the
do with like
environment.
the actual buildings that like host all these servers and like process all this data, right?
So my question to you guys is, where do you think AI comes from? Like, where do you, when you submit something into a generative AI, like whether it's, oh, AI, write me a song and play me this song back that you just wrote, or when you go into AI and say, hey, create me a graphic image that is a dog wearing a Santa hat, or AI, give me an idea, give me a recipe I can cook for next Friday.
Like, I think there has to be a tangible location of where all this information is held.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Where do you think it's held?
Where?
Yeah. The tangible location.
I don't know, somewhere in the fucking ether. I have no idea.
So you think it's like up in the cloud is where all this
Yeah.
location, all this data lies, is
That's
up
what
in the
I think.
cloud.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
it's
that
in an
they're-
actual physical location.
Yes.
I thought that they were pulling from all the other information that we already have on the internet and then just
And where do you think that information comes from?
the fucking cloud. I don't know.
The cloud exists because of physical data centers. So the cloud is a separate stream of consciousness of network that it's just as new as AI. And honestly, hopefully my other computer science and information technology experts, way more experted than me, agree with this statement. But I really wish we had mastered the complexity of cloud technology before we started fucking around with AI the way we've been
Right.
getting into, because cloud computation is so flawed, and even though it is believed to one day be the most secure technology we will ever have in internet technology, it is one of the least secure in my current opinion right now, based off of all of the case studies I've seen, based off of all of the research I've done, and based off of all of the work I've done on cloud already. And
Right.
all of the hacking I've been able to do in cloud databases already.
But I mean, like, nothing's ever just like actually poof in the cloud. Like, even this
It's
simple
right.
shit as like me sending a text message, like there's shit going on through wires and cables that is transmitting electricity that is getting that text
Nope.
message somewhere.
The cloud is simply as followed. Think of an infinite amount of data in a data center. The data center is the physical location, but let's think of that data center holding an infinite amount of data, right? The cloud is the placeholder.
Right.
Think of the cloud as just an infinite blip of a placeholder. The moment you say, I'm going to go store this thing in the cloud, it gets stored in the cloud. The cloud is redundant. There's a thing called in information technology called redundancy. We need our systems to redundantly keep running all the time at every given time.
Right.
And clients and stakeholders always want their shit right away. So the cloud needs to be redundant,
Right.
and computers and data centers need to be redundant. So we always have backup centers, this, that, and the third. So the cloud is the placeholder. The moment you need to retrieve that thing, your communication goes to the cloud. The cloud pulls all that data set from its
From the
server,
center.
but it was in the cloud as the placeholder. Because you can see it as a placeholder in the cloud.
Right.
So anytime you lose that on your physical data center, which is just your computer,
Your device.
you can just go retrieve it whenever you want. And that's why people have to pay for more cloud storage, because you're just paying into more data that the company has to pay for, because the company now has to add on to more electricity in their electricity bill. And because they're using that much electricity,
Right.
that's HVAC, and that's electric, and that's natural resources.
So these actual locations are just big warehouses that store large ass computers that are controlling like all of the functioning of these servers.
Yep, full
Okay.
of PLCs and RTUs.
And where are they
programmable-
located in our country?
All over the place. All over the place. They are located in areas outside of like Silicon Valley and everything of that nature. They're located offshore on islands. They're located all around the Midwest, Mid-Atlantic, Northern. Like they're all over the place. They're all over the place. And they're owned by different entities. They're owned by a million different entities. Amazon is one of the heavy hitters. Amazon has their own web service, their own cloud computation web service, Amazon Web Service. That's one of the leading in the industry right now, because it's so versatile, cheap, and redundant. Basically, with Amazon Web Service, you can own your own essential data center in the palm of your hands. I could own a data center right now
All right.
on my phone, and then run an entire website, an entire company, an entire computer
Right.
technology company from my phone, just with Amazon Web Service.
It's crazy.
And
Holy
off of my
shit.
computer, just with Amazon Web Service.
So where does it tie into being poor for the environment?
So those data centers, there's a lot of them. And technology in general impacts the environment, and I think it's very clear that humanity sees this every day. We see the way cars work, we see the way that computers work, and how much power they generate all the time. But what people don't understand is that in order to get these computers running and functioning, and these data centers running and functioning, they need to be run by computers themselves.
Right.
And we call those PLCs, programmable logical computers, controllers. And then they are also controlling other things called RTUs, remote terminal units. And those are computers in their own. And now those computers mainly rely on human intervention, like 90% of the time, if not 99% of the time, rely on human intervention. Now they're slowly starting to incorporate AI intervention,
Okay.
and to explain in better sense what those like machines do. Think of those as the machines that control like traffic lights,
Okay.
or the machines that control nuclear reactors, and the machines
Like
that
I'm thinking
control
of a big room with fucking computers and
Yes.
motherboards and like beep
Yes.
boop bop bop.
Yes.
Like
And think of data
levers.
centers like that, but just with actual like a city full of tower racks. It looks like an entire city of like towers and cables, and just like think of the most insane cable management
Right.
you can think of. Now, that's just one data center. Now think of like hundreds, if not thousands.
and
of
what are
those.
they outputting? Like
But what's the problem? They're just taking up space.
or are they
Oh,
outputting
they're
CO2?
taking up land space by all means, but you know what they're doing? They're generating power and they're using real non-renewable resources.
Okay.
And they're taking water. They're taking water to cool down the systems, because water cooling technology is one of the safest ways to cool down computers. Unfortunately,
It's using our water.
it's using our water from our planet. A lot of it. Artificial intelligence, in order to cool the computers down, it requires to cool those down.
Right.
Just 100 words from artificial intelligence and 100-word output from artificial intelligence
Which fucking ChatGPT be talking.
would empty out a water bottle about this size stacked on top of itself. Full of water, of just 100 words. Now get this.
ChatGPT don't shut the fuck up
ChatGPT
either.
doesn't shut the fuck up.
Right.
So
Meanwhile,
ChatGPT,
California's in a drought.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, me having one conversation with ChatGPT, like, that bitch be going.
Right.
and guess what? And that's like a swimming pool of water.
And think of how many times you use ChatGPT like throughout like your week.
Your week, your life, and
I don't even use it that
think about
much.
it. Think about it. You're one person. There are 8 billion people on this planet, and there are many people using this technology. And that's where climate concerns really come from, is because these data centers, like you were just asking earlier, what's actually housing these data centers?
Right.
Everything. All the programs we use, the data centers house that. You want to go buy something on Amazon? The data centers house that.
Right.
The data centers house the literal coding information to present to you this beautiful website. The data centers literally house all of the coded information to protect your payment information. The password managers that you use, so that you don't have to remember your passwords.
Right.
The data centers use that. Data centers
It's crazy.
store the
So your
password.
shit's never really untraceable.
No. Oh, if that's another question you had, by all means.
So what's your recommendation for like a stupid normie at home with a regular Xfinity Wi-Fi account? Like, what do regular people need to be doing to protect themselves?
Until quantum computers get more user friendly, let me just use that word. And when I say that word, I mean,
You mean when they become more accessible to regular humans?
yeah, until they become more accessible to regular humans, we're safe. Modern encryption is the strongest it's ever
Right.
been, and it will be the strongest it's ever been. But to the normal users like you and Bree, where you're just like, well, if it's so good, why are we getting hacked all the fucking time? Well, there's many hackers all over the world working in conjunction with each other.
Right.
And they form teams, just like we form teams and cybersecurity teams like SOC analysts
Right.
and all these big
Right.
cybersecurity companies. They form teams that go against big entities all the time. And on top of that, there's back doors to everything.
Wait, I have a question, like kind of related, but not really. Do VPNs actually really fucking protect you like that from somebody that's like a certified ethical hacker? Like, is that actually doing something for you?
Yeah.
Or is it like just
Yeah.
another fucking subscription that I have to pay for?
Yeah. Are you asking me what it does?
Yeah.
Yeah. So a VPN puts you in a completely secure tunnel and layer of network, pretty much almost untraceable. And I say almost untraceable. Basically, what it's doing is it's masking and mirroring you to a completely separate data center in a completely separate location offshore somewhere else.
But everybody uses VPNs
Correct.
now.
Yeah. Everybody uses VPNs.
So is it not just putting us all in the same spot?
Kind of. I mean, if the VPN
But
company,
you're not traceable back
you're
to your
not-
actual location.
yeah, like if you use a VPN, and you go on a porn website, your internet service provider. We use Verizon.
Mm-hmm.
If I were to use a VPN or someone were to use a VPN on our home network or something that completely masks your IP address,
Mm-hmm.
the literal physical address that communicates with all other computers and all other data centers across the entire world. If I mask that and I go on a porn website, none of the information floating on the web in the porn website, like all the users who are visiting that porn website, because when you're visiting that website,
Other people are on it.
hundreds of millions of other people
Right.
are also visiting that website at the same time as you. So you're not special. Like you're not the only person in that website in real time.
Right.
There are a lot of people in real time on that website. So I could, if with my practices that I use in some of the tools, I could sniff the website and I could see what IP address you're using. I can see all the IP addresses in the porn website that are using that website. Could I trace it back to you specifically if you're using a VPN? No.
Yeah.
Because you're masking your physical address.
So they do actually work.
So they do help.
Right.
Now, if you're the company that runs
Yeah,
the
but you
VPN,
can still get hacked when you're using a VPN.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You can still get hacked because you're on the network, and the network can trace it to the because there's an IP address and there's a MAC address. You've heard MAC address, right? MAC. And the MAC address is the physical computer hardware address.
Okay.
So when these people go out and about sniffing different things on the interwebs, they'll see an IP address traced to like Canada. But then when they find the physical MAC address,
and it doesn't match up, then shit hits the fan.
then they're like, oh, it didn't even matter if if it said you were in Canada. I got your MAC address. If they find your MAC address, well, there's nothing you can really do about that. Yeah.
Protect your neck.
Protect your neck. Yeah. And I mean, there's a lot of different things. There's backdoors to everything, and I use that word because truly there is. Even the most secure companies have a backdoor to something. You know, when that whole thing with CrowdStrike was happening, where the entire world's computers
Microsoft went down, right?
Windows, yep.
Yeah.
Windows operating system
Yeah.
went down because of a bug inside of CrowdStrike's security infrastructure. And most computers in the entire world utilizing that security infrastructure went down. And the only computers that didn't go down were Mac computers because those run off of Mac's operating system, and Linux computers because Linux is its own operating system and Mac runs off of Linux. Linux is like the OG. Like everything runs off of Linux. Everything. Like anything you can think of mostly runs off of Linux. That's why in computer programming, I have to learn a new operating system too. So it's imperative that I learn Mac, but they don't make it like a full-fledged like thing in the curriculum. Like Macs are becoming popular as the years go on, but they're so user friendly and still stupefied that
Right.
like they're not that important. Like you would not see Mac computers be used in like big computer
Right, they're using
technology
PCs.
industries. They're
Yeah.
using PCs and
Right.
they're using Linux.
Oh yeah, they're using good ones.
Yeah.
So, do you think that like quantum computers and AI and everything are all bad, or do you think it's actually going to be able to help us? Because if this shit is so fucking smart, do you think that it's going to actually be able to solve a lot of real world problems that we have, like climate change and fucking like cures to cancer and shit like that humans have not been able to figure out on their own?
Yes, babe. It's not that the technology is not smart. It's the humans in charge of it that are not smart. It's the people that are stupid. We, the humans, are stupid. Like we are impervious to our own flaws. Like we literally are the ones who created it. And to a point in time, it's going to be able to replicate itself. But it's only dangerous right now because we know it's that good.
All right.
And there's not a lot of good people in this world. If I'm being honest, there's more horrible people in this world than there are good people.
It's not good in the sense, at least in my opinion, in the sense of like having access to information to do bad shit. Like, think of all the ways that we can access information.
Right. I mean, like currently.
We can do access information for good shit, you know? Like,
Right. Like,
you
if
can
I
be
wanted-
informed about a lot of shit through, like, what is happening now, like, what modern technology is, but how can we use that to then be malintended?
Absolutely. Oh,
and
are
we
you
can.
asking how can we then?
No, we absolutely can. I'm saying,
Oh,
I
yeah.
know we can.
Oh,
That's why
yeah.
it's not that great, because like we're so dumb to the point where we're gonna do some dumb shit with it. Like,
And a quick example, like to your point, what you were saying, like think of a government that is so corrupt that it completely censors its entire nation's internet, right?
that's what I'm trying to get to the point of. I'm
right.
trying to get to a point like that. Like, it really like it gets so big that then it becomes controlled. And I think it's good because you can access so much information. Think about, we'll talk about TikTok, like how much information you could actually get from TikTok
Yes.
that wasn't able to be censored by our country. They don't fucking like that. So what are they going to do?
Ban TikTok for
Okay.
like 16 hours.
That's what I'm saying. So when you have people that are controlling this big technology and all of the communication systems, it's going to inherently censor what kind of information you can get. Like,
Yeah.
that's dangerous at many different levels.
Yeah, it all you know the funny thing is I'm kind of glad you guys are kind of seeing it now, because
Right.
right before we even started recording this, you guys seemed very like you knew what you wanted to ask, but you seemed very confused. You were like, I don't know how this conversation's gonna go. Like, it could go any kind
Yeah.
of way.
Well,
but
because here's
you're,
the thing. Like, normally when I walk into a conversation, especially like an interview for URL versus IRL, I have a general knowledge of like the kind of things that I want to know. But this shit is so fucking far deep and like almost sounds like conspiracy theorists sometimes when you talk to me about it, that I have not even scratched like the surface, which is why I was like, I'm going to have to kind of go into this blind and come up with questions as you're teaching, because I only have so many questions. Like, what the fuck does this even mean? How is AI actually bad for the planet? How come AI isn't doing better? Like, why don't we have the fucking cure for cancer yet? You know what I mean? And that kind of shit. And then the other thing is, too, is like, if AI is affecting us so much in our day-to-day lives, like, what the fuck is it even, like, involved in that we don't even realize on a regular day-to-day basis?
it's involved. Well, like I said earlier, it's involved in everything, and that's the problem. Is that that's where you, as the human user, will have to study up, understand where it's coming from, where it's at, because it's being used in everything. It's being used in the website you're using. It's slowly made its way into a bunch of subliminal things. It's making its way into the college infrastructure. It's making its way into chat bots on websites. It was already, that's how it also kind of pretty much started out, was like automated chat bots that
Yeah, I had one. It was called Talk 2, like TAWK.
But now there's full-blown AI videos
But
on
now
TikTok,
there's-
and you can't even tell the difference.
Now there's full-fledged AI videos that you can't tell the difference. Now there's full-fledged Mark Zuckerberg. He
Good old
just
Mark.
showed Mark. He just showed a video of an AI program they're working with where Reels, when you're watching Instagram Reels on Meta, if it's in a different language, it's going to translate it in English. If the user is speaking verbally in that language, it's going to change their mouth to make them look like they're speaking English.
No.
And it works with 100% accuracy. I
No.
watched the video. It's fucking terrifying.
And guess where good old Mark was sitting the other day?
Yeah.
Front row at the
row.
inauguration.
Yeah.
So what that makes me think of is, okay, this guy Marky Mark, not in the Funky Bunch, that's for damn sure.
Not in the fucking Funky Bunch.
He
Not
is
even.
up there at the inauguration supporting the Republican Party.
Shaking hands and beating meat.
Shaking
Yeah.
hands. They are now in complete control. So all of him, along with every other major power, the owner of Amazon, the owner of fucking X, Elon Musk was there, Mark Zuckerberg, Bezos, they control so much of our daily lives and all of the communications in our entire world.
Well, what's
And
so
now
funny?
look at whose interests they are acting in. To me, that is so terrifying, and it's intentional.
It is intentional, because that's exactly why TikTok was banned for the time span that it was on the day that it was banned for.
Right.
And then they literally sent us a message saying, like, thanks
Donald
to Donald
Trump saved
we
it,
fucking-
and he wasn't even
in
inaugurated
office
yet.
He wasn't even in office yet. Like, I really feel. Do you feel like that was like a tactic just to shut us up and like take away freedom of speech in a sense because there's so many people speaking out against him?
I mean, before I even answer that, like, what are your guys' understandings of the TikTok ban? Like, what do you guys know of the TikTok ban?
That it was about
And, like,
the amount
why?
that they did not like the information that was being accessed.
Well, first it was
largely, I
China.
knew that it was it was largely about information that was being pushed about what's happening in Gaza.
No, I know, but I think the first reason that they originally were like TikTok is bad was because of China.
So back in 2019, 2020, probably earlier than that, but TikTok really only came out, like, it changed its name from Musical.ly to TikTok, like, early
Like 2019,
2017,
yeah,
2018, early 2017, late 2017, maybe early 2018. And 2018 was when TikTok was like still on the slow rise. And then 2019 is when it blew up. And then 2020 is when it blew the fuck up.
Yeah.
And in 2020, when we were having a lot of, uprisings, we were
Right.
having, COVID, Black Lives Matter, so many different things. It was an enactment of a bunch of things. It was, the United States government found traces, their intelligence teams found traces of Chinese manipulation in TikTok being owned by a Chinese company, well, a Thai company, I think it's Taiwanese company or a company in Thailand. And the parent company is from China. I think their name is like ByteDance or something like that, something of that weird ass name. And basically what was happening is the intelligence team saw that there was a campaign going on in China where they were actively the hackers in China were actively manipulating TikTok's algorithm to push depressing and morbidly insensitive content to United States users
Okay.
as an active campaign to suppress the United States people and make us fundamentally depressed. And that's an actual intelligence report. That
So was
this
that
is what
what
they were
was
trying.
brought? Was that whole concept what was brought in front of the Supreme Court?
The TikTok ban started in Trump's first
Right,
administration
yes.
because of that.
Right.
Because of that. Because what's been going on in Palestine, Gaza, everything has been going on for so long.
That's been a point of contention among the TikTok ban.
Among the TikTok ban,
is
correct.
because they don't like the amount of information that is being shared about what is happening.
But there has to be something deeper about that fucking app that is the truth, and then they're just piling on the excuses to get rid of it.
Well,
so that
so-
it
But
seems
think
like
about
it's
it. I
bad
can go
enough.
on TikTok right now, and all the information that they're trying to censor, if I type in cute winter boots right now, all of the information that I want to find that is being censored is fucking
It's there. I found that shit this morning.
That's where, I mean, the revolution, they don't like the fact that the revolution can fucking happen on social media now. They don't
Yep.
want that to happen. That's scary to
and
them.
just for point of reference, I am agreeing with everything you're saying.
And you don't even have TikTok downloaded.
And I've never had TikTok downloaded. I've never even had a TikTok account. I've never been on TikTok. Like, whatever it is, I've never had it. I've never had it. You will never find my information on TikTok.
Good for you. That's just addicting.
Because
is.
I was very hesitant from it. I should have been with Vine, but thankfully, I started learning more about information security and cybersecurity in the military as TikTok was rising when it started. And when friends in the military were telling me that hackers and people were able to infiltrate TikTok very easily and they were showing me how they were doing it, I was like, because they were able to steal people's passwords on TikTok. They were able to manipulate people's algorithms. They were able to do like really weird shit. Like,
But here's my
it's-
thing. They didn't make TikTok go dark for 12 hours for no reason.
No,
Just
no.
to like do a dog and pony dance.
Yeah.
Like to say Trump saved it. That app is something fundamentally happened to that app when
something
it went
definitely
dark.
happened,
you
yes.
know? And you know, the following day, it's not a coincidence that it went dark for 12 hours. And the next day at the inauguration, every single power of every social media company and communications company in our country was sitting fucking front row.
Yep.
It's to let you know
Yep.
who the fuck is in control. And if you pay attention to what is coming across your For You page, you can see what's being censored. Everything you can, I mean, the misinformation now with AI and the
Yeah.
bans and who's in power, the misinformation that can, like, that's something to pay attention to. You have to question everything.
So the internet has been acting very weird since immediately pre, like day before and day of and day after and the week after so far. post inauguration, the internet's been acting very weird.
Been weird.
And
Yeah.
again, I feel it. I feel like a lot of my other techie people in the United States might feel it too. And I know I can't be the only one, but something weird is going on in the internet. Like things are just acting weird. I do believe actively, the top giants, I meant to say fast forward, here we are years later, TikTok was banned and now, amongst the things it is a dog and pony show by
Right.
all means, but amongst that, all the other things you said, it's actively something bigger looming over the mountain.
Yeah.
And what that is, I can't imagine, but you know what I think it is, really? The less cynical portion of it, and still the inevitably scary portion of it, is that think of when like the airplane was coming out, right? When the Wright brothers created the airplane, they were approached by everyone on this fucking design. They were like, holy shit, everyone from all over the world.
Revolutionary.
Yeah, revolutionary. United States military, they're like,
Womp womp, we need that.
bud, the Army Air Corps, because there wasn't the Air Force didn't exist at the time. It was the Army Air Corps. And the Army Air Corps was like, yo, bud, Wright brothers, we need that. And the Wright brothers were like, sure, just, don't do anything crazy with it. They did. And then other companies, other public sectors of the world, Boeing, everyone like that, Lockheed Martin, everyone got their hands and grubby little hands on like designs and technology. Everybody decided they wanted to be Leonardo da Vinci. And it's just like, it's so funny to see these tech giants kind of do that same thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, we know that people aren't acting in our best interest. People don't give a fuck about us. The United States and the government and the politicians and the military have only ever been out for their best interest.
Yeah.
I worry. I know, the biggest thing is like the world now. This is so indicative of like now where the world's heading, because the world now has become so possessed and completely dependent on technology.
Yeah.
The people I see on Instagram every day who sit here and tell me I'm fucking done with this shit, I'm gonna get off Instagram, and then they're like, I'm done, here's my phone number in case the real ones want to text me, and then a month later get the fuck back on.
Right.
The amount of dependency we are, and I am a computer science major. I'm sitting here shitting on the dependency, but
Right.
I am dependent on it too.
Right.
My livelihood is in the hands of it, but I think there's way too much of a dependency on it in the human world. And unfortunately, we've gotten a little, it's just like when everybody was complaining about TikTok getting banned. It's like, how are you going to give us like the greatest tasting pie in the world and then just rip it away from us?
All right.
Yeah.
That's the same thing with technology. How
Right.
are we going to have all these great advancements in technology and then all of a sudden it gets swept under the rug?
Right.
It's not. And unfortunately, that's the same thing with AI. It's only going to continue to grow. Quantum computation is going to be the next leap in computer evolution, because I mean, look at it. Look at how fast, since the internet's conception in 1995, look at how fast we have developed.
Crazy. It's insane.
In computer technology, in networking technology. I mean, things that we deemed impossible are now unfolding in 4K in front of us.
Which makes you wonder why we can't do some other things that have been told is impossible. Like, we figured all this shit out, and you mean to tell me that
We don't have a cure for cancer.
we don't have a cure for cancer, but two,
We
that
haven't actually been to the moon.
Well, not to really
we haven't
like,
been to the moon. Three, more to my point, is in the movie Spy Kids, they put a fucking bag of popcorn looking thing in the microwave, hit a button, and it came out with McDonald's, and we can't do that yet.
Right.
Why?
it's science is working on these things actively.
Is it working on a microwave that can do that for me?
I need it to make
Actually, believe it.
Chipotle.
Yeah, like that's what it would do. It would literally, you could pick out what you wanted, put it in the microwave, and it would fucking manifest to be like.
So hear me
food.
out, and you're gonna. I know how you're gonna react in a moment, and you're gonna completely disagree with me, but you're gonna have no choice but to agree with me because it's true. Because this is what's happening. They're doing that. Modern science is trying to do that. And the reason why I'm saying is we already see it with lab-grown meat, lab-grown milk, lab-grown food, lab-grown
So true,
vegetables.
bestie.
So true. lab grown food and food that can be made in the blink of an eye from
Yeah.
cell manipulation is real. It exists. It is here.
Jesus Christ.
Whether it is the FDA has approved lab grown meat, it is in our grocery stores currently. The thing is it taking the form that you thought it was going to take form? No. Is AI taking the form I thought it was going to take form? No. I mean, generative AI, the way it is right now, it's fucking cool as hell. It's scary. It's cool. Like, I mean, shit, if I'm a creative. I'm a musician. I'm an artist sometimes. I love art. I love this. I love that. If I am having a hard time with my imaginative bubble and I just need something to create something with me, I could literally just be like, AI, Gemini, Copilot. I've got this idea in my head, but I'm having a fucking impossible time.
Right.
AI is going to infinitely change the tattoo industry. I could see it infinitely changing the tattoo industry.
I didn't even think about that.
I could. I mean, to me, as a tattoo enthusiast,
To say the least.
I would say that the whole reason I latch on to tattoos is the ingenuity of people
Right.
putting their
You get a one of
their
one.
creative touch. You get a one of one. But we're not in that age nowadays. I mean, people are getting tattoos of goddamn near anything they
Yeah.
want. And so what's stopping anyone from, I mean, we're trying to create tattoo technology that just scans tattoos on people's skin.
Right.
What's stopping people from just, what kind of tattoo you want? Well, I've been thinking about, you know what? Never mind. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Gemini, this is the kind of tattoo I want. I want this.
Doesn't require any creativity,
Doesn't
authenticity,
require
originality.
a goddamn thing. It just requires you to put it in the hands of someone who can
Yeah.
tattoo it on you. Now, because everybody's sitting here like, oh, AI can't take away all the jobs in the world. It could.
It could.
It could to a degree.
If we allow it
If
to.
we allow it to. Because
I think it's going to, whether we allow it to or not.
I don't think it's going to take away every single job. I mean, it's
It's
already
taking my fucking job.
Yes, but there is a degree where your job, they're going to find back. You know how I said there's a backdoor to everything?
Yeah.
Your job is, and my job even, there's a backdoor to it. My job is always going to, like my job with AI involved in computer technology is that human intervention is always going to need to happen. Why? Because humans created AI.
Right.
Whether AI can self-replicate or not, that's fine. I mean, things live and things die. So we need people to intervene, to help. And so it just like AI, I mean, AI is not infinite. It might live and it might die. If nothing's there to help it well oil itself, if AI can't take care of itself, then what do you think it's going to do? It's going to self-destruct.
That's got to be a really real fear for you, though. Like for someone that
Yes.
doesn't have much information about the capacities of AI
Absolutely,
and just knows
absolutely.
like this is being substituted for something that I used to get paid for. Like,
Yes.
And
that
so-
would be
and
scary
my
for me.
Job is literally going more and more down the drain. I work less and less and less. Like I was just about to tell you guys, like my head is literally spinning from this conversation. And I feel like at some point we should call it and then maybe make this a part 2 if people really liked this episode.
Oh, definitely.
That's kind of where I'm at right
gonna
now.
wrap this.
Let me tell you, internet, what I'm thinking is we're fucked. That's about it.
To a degree. And I mean, at least with your industry, like there's a lot with like why your industry chooses to adopt it is not because they want to pay these people less
Right.
or they want to do this less. It's all about liability.
Right.
Like in a class I took, we talked about the ethics behind like technology like this, like AI. And I'm going to leave the podcast on this thought. We talked about the ethics behind technology, right? If in the nursing community, in the medical industry, if a robot is operating on you and it doesn't have true human consciousness, but it's artificial intelligence, fake, let's think about what the word artificial means. Fake intelligence, but it's intelligent. If it performs a surgery and the person dies during the surgery, who's at fault?
Right.
Is it a single secular human? Because in today's modern time, if a doctor misperforms a surgery that's malpractice, he's fired, he's sued, he goes to
Loses
jail,
his
or she,
license.
or they.
Yeah.
They lose their license, they go to jail, revoked license. With technology, what do you do?
Who's
Do you
at fault?
Do you just sue the company? Yeah, you can sue the company, but that's just a loss of human life we just took away.
Right.
So, like, we want more accountability.
Right.
We want more justice. Like,
Right.
what are you just going to sue the company for millions of
Right.
dollars? Sometimes, in grief, money means jack shit.
Right.
So where do we go from here? Who is held accountable? how is justice being served? And that's the biggest fear in the age of AI is how can we hold something that isn't even necessarily real accountable?
I'm feeling real existential,
True that.
chat.
So in the days to come, seriously pay attention. And I'm looking at you, camera. Seriously, pay attention to what's going on around you. Pay attention to true news articles, and just watch out for the people around you, and just study up because we're in for a ride. Technology, we have reached way beyond the point of singularity. Like technology is here, AI is here, and it's going to be here to stay for years to come, even if it's having negative implications on the environment. Guess what? Nerds somewhere are going to figure out how it doesn't. And when they figure out how we can have clean energy, which they already have, nuclear reactors, this, that, and the third, even though they're not safe. But when they figure out how to run AI off of clean energy, it's not going anywhere.
All right, talk to you soon on the next URL versus IRL. Well, I don't even know what to fucking say, you guys. I really hope that left you with a little bit of food for thought, and I hope that your head is spinning less than mine. That was clearly the most, like, I feel like in-depth, scary, and real conversation we have had on URL versus IRL to date. Like, that is actual internet versus reality. And even if we're not basing it off of pure internet, this is like technology versus reality, and like technology versus the real fucking world and how it's actually affecting us on a regular day-to-day basis that we might not even be realizing. And it's at the fucking touch of our fingertips. So I really don't know what else to say. I'm going to go upstairs and maybe take a nap after this and hope to not feel as existential when I wake up. So with that being said, thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you next Tuesday.